Welcome back to Brassionomics. Wes Jones, good friend of our show, is back with us, a partner of Home Helper Consultants, whose team has successfully closed over 1,000 short sale transactions over the past 6 years. Welcome back, Wes.
Ben, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Always good to see you. And, you start thinking about a short sale and selling your house. I guess that's kind of when a marriage goes bad.
Mm-hmm.
And for any number of reasons, I suppose people need to short sell their house. You said it's starting to get busier right now. What does that mean?
Yeah, things have gotten really busy for us just the last couple months. And, obviously the market has heated up. We've got an inventory shortage. So people are saying, hey, maybe I've got a good chance to sell my house. But what we're seeing on our end of things with the distress market, I think has a lot more to do with the expiration of the Mortgage Debt Relief Act. And essentially what that is and how that affects short sales is that in a normal market, anytime that debt is canceled, whether it's credit card debt or mortgage debt, that's going to be considered taxable income. So if somebody's contemplating a short sale, they still have time to take advantage of the Mortgage Debt Relief Act. But that Mortgage Debt Relief Act is set to expire at the end of the year, and being that your average short sale takes about 4 to 5 months, right now you've got to act pretty quick. Otherwise, you're looking at,
missing it.
So yeah, you're looking at missing it and costing yourself thousands of dollars in a tax liability that you could have avoided for sure. So yeah, we're just getting a lot of calls. People are finally, hearing that, okay, well, I've been thinking about this. It's time to, get off the fence and let's go ahead and do this thing and close it out by the end of the year.
So if somebody determines, and maybe they're talking to their accountant or maybe they're talking to you or a financial planner, and somebody determines that, well, at this point in time, my house is so far underwater, this won't work, and I certainly don't want to pay taxes on a loss.
Mm-hmm.
What does that first process start to look like?
Well, usually it starts with, the consultation. And, when I'm talking to somebody who's considering a short sale, and, one of the first questions that I ask is, when was the last time a mortgage payment was made? And it could have been, it was a year ago, it was 6 months ago, or I am current right now, but I have made my last payment.
So that's kind of that first step. Somebody decides they maybe don't want the big tax liability, but really they need to understand what their current mortgage situation is. Are they making payments? Are they not?
That's correct. It's one of the first questions that is asked, and there's a lot of information that's out there, and it's, can I be current on my loan and do a short sale? And I've got to be very careful how I answer this question. I'm not a lawyer. I cannot give legal advice. But between my office,
play one on the radio.
But I play one on the radio. That's right, Ben. But between our office here in Bellevue and our one down in Scottsdale, we're going to do a couple hundred short sales, and there's only going to be a handful of them that go through when a homeowner is actually current. And it all comes down to this. The banks are approving short sales not because they care about you as an individual. They are approving them because it benefits them. It mitigates them loss over foreclosure. So what that means is they're going to recover more money by doing a short sale today than allowing the home to go through the actual foreclosure process. Wait 12 months. Trustees' sale fees, start, piling up. Then all of a sudden you've got a house back that's trash. Who knows what condition it's in? They've got to pay to fix it up. Then they've got to sell it, and who knows what market we're in down the road. So it's simple. It's a loss mitigation strategy, and it's to recoup more money versus going through the foreclosure process. So if somebody who really wants to stay current, you guys have to kind of explain it to them that way. I don't agree with the banks very often, but I see where they're coming from. If a homeowner isn't a threat for foreclosure, or they're not a threat to their lending institution, what motivation do they have to do the deal?
So what is that? Do you just stop sending the check? You just turn off auto pay?
It's different for everybody. Some people have already made that decision. Somebody who's still current, their savings could be depleted, and auto pay doesn't have to be turned off because there's no funds in it. Let's say there are, though. It's probably looking at one of two things: just not sending the check in, making that decision to not, send the check in, or proactively turning that auto pay off.
And that's it.
And it's that simple. And then all of a sudden, probably at about day 15 when that mortgage is due, you get a frantic phone call. From the bank, really wanting to know what's going on. And it's the crazy statistic that 65% of all people who go through foreclosure in this country, they don't make a single phone call for help. They don't call their bank. They don't call a real estate agent. They don't call an attorney. It just happens around them. It's pretty wild. So that's why some of these banks do get so aggressive with the phone calls, because so many times they can't even reach that homeowner to see if there's anything that they can do to help.
And so really, I mean, it sounds like, should people be talking to their bank? I mean, if you're going to stop that payment or stop making payments, should you be answering that phone call? Should you be making proactive phone calls?
Yeah, I think you should definitely take that phone call, at least on the front end. What I'll tell, my clients to do is go ahead and take that phone call and just let them know what's going on, because, I tell them that story that, most people, that this is happening to, they never make that phone call. So they may just want to know. And what I'll tell them is, hey, go ahead and take that phone call, let them know what's going on, tell them that unfortunately, you can no longer, make your mortgage payment, but, I am going to be listing this property as a short sale, and here's my real estate agent's name and number. Once you call them, contact them directly and go ahead and correspond with them.
And then so, if you stop making your payment, now you've taken a phone call or whatnot, you've talked to them, and I mean, is that kind of, now you're listing your house? I mean, is there more correspondence somebody should expect? I mean, what is that going to look like to them? It
really depends bank to bank and servicer to servicer, but I got to tell you, that's not it. They'll keep coming. And all of a sudden, you may have talked to a manager that first time, but you could be placed over in collections department. And the collections department is going to do whatever they can to get any type of payment they can out of you. They're going to be mean to you. They're going to say things that are not necessarily true, because these guys are in collections and they actually get paid by anything that they collect on. And once a mortgage is about 2 months behind internally, they've just about written that off. So if they can tell somebody by making a partial payment that will extend the foreclosure process and they can get that back in, well, hey, those guys just hit the payday. But what they've told you is not true. Once a mortgage payment is missed and is continued to be missed, the, foreclosure process does start.
So, okay. I mean, that's all interesting, because it's kind of that, it takes a little bit of the unknown, pulls back the curtains a little bit on, okay, what somebody might go through, because it's not just deciding to short sell, let's do it. I mean, there's going to be additional people coming at you, talking to you, coercing you for money.
That's right.
Even after you've made that decision.
Yeah, and it comes in the form of phone calls. It comes in the form of, threatening letters, or, letters that look like they're official. And half the time, these letters, they're not for the homeowner's benefit. They're actually for the bank's benefit. And it's for them to basically cover their rears and follow, state laws saying, hey, at least we notified these people, let them know that there were options. Granted, there's not a whole heck of a lot that these banks are going to do for these people. But, yeah, there is a lot of paperwork. There is a lot of phone calls that come out, and, people can expect to receive, quite a bit of mail. I take a lot of calls from my clients, and they'll say, hey, this one really concerned me. It came certified mail. If it's something that, sounds serious, I'll have them scan it over. We'll take a look. But, 9 times out of 10, this stuff's on autopilot, and it's on autopilot every single week. And one hand doesn't talk to the other. We could be actively negotiating a short sale, and they're still getting, phone calls, and they're still getting, letters that are being, sent out to them, trying to collect. We could be a couple days away from having a short sale closed, and it's still happening.
In the words of a friend of our show, Boyce Goff, when they open that mail, that's probably the first time a human has ever touched it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never heard it that way, but
process.
It is.
It's just a computer program that keeps sending it out.
It is. It's just a machine. It's on autopilot, and there's really nothing to do to stop it.
It's keeping the post office in business.
Somebody is.
Somebody has to.
That's right.
Yeah, no kidding. You mean you don't send letters anymore?
Well,
isn't that what email's for?
That's what I thought too. Wes, thanks for joining us again. Wes Jones, partner with Home Helper Consultants. When we come back, you might want to stay in your house. A lot of people do. But sometimes you want to get outside when it's hot, and sometimes you want to go inside when it's cold. We're going to talk about some of those hot and cold summer and winter turn the AC on, turn the heat on moments that you have when we come back. You're listening to Brassionomics.